Welcome to Land Speed Legends, a podcast talking to the men, the women, the legends that make land speed racing great. Discover the stories of these ordinary people whose passion for land speed racing has made them legendary. And now, here's your host, the Bonneville Belle, the High Boy Honey, the Salt Princess, Allison Volk Dean.
The legendary Lloyd Parry is a hot rodder at heart, and from a young age, he was working on anything that had wheels. His involvement in land speed racing started when he was introduced to Dave Skidmore. Him and Dave ran a '64 Dodge Dart. When the Dart engine blew up, he began working the USFRA races. Starting as a course steward, he is now currently the assistant race director and manages the short course for the USFRA meets. All right, Lloyd, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, good. Let's go ahead and get into kind of your early years, how we were talking about there's car, you were kind of just loved anything with wheels since you were little.
Yeah, my mother always told me, she said, I don't know how you read in the dark. But when I was a little kid, 4 or 5 years old, I had books. And one of my favorite books was about this. It was one of those golden books. It's about this little car that served its purpose and got wrecked. And it was horrible. It sat in the back and everything. And this kid came and got it and fixed it up. It was so cool. I thought, wow, that's neat, And it just sort of stuck with me. And years later, I read another book called Heartbreak Hot Rod. And it was the same kind of thing. This kid gets a star of all kinds of cars, that very rare star in the moon, those back in the 20s. And he fixed it all up and he got it running. His dad said, good boy, here's a 40 Ford convertible. Wow, this is so cool. Some of those things just stick in your head.
Yeah.
But, growing up, tricycles, bicycles, there were two things that you needed to build a cart out of wood to get pushed around the neighborhood. You needed a bolt for the steering so that you'd have a board and you put the bolt in, you could steer it with your feet, and 4 wheels. So if you could find 4 wheels and a bolt, you had it made. We had plenty of wood. Dad brought home wood all the time. So we would build these things and push them around the neighborhoods. But that was the thing,
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait to get my driver's license, get that driver's license.
It was in your soul, these hot rods.
My dad had a 1953 Hudson Hornet with twin horsepower, which everybody thought was an old man's car,
Mm-hmm.
But one of our friends in the neighborhood is a drag racer. His name's Sonny Schoenfeld. A lot of people know Sonny from the old days. He had a 56 Ford station wagon, and he and my dad were together working with the youth, and Sonny wanted to drag my dad. My dad beat him twice in that old Hudson. So it was like cool, And Mother had a 53 Wasp, which is a little bit smaller motor and stuff. And that's what I ended up with. So
cool.
I painted Swamp Rat on the side and drove it to school.
You painted, what was it?
Swamp Rat.
Oh, Swamp Rat. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How come you decided that?
I'm not sure. I must have read it in a book.
That's such a cool name.
Well, yeah, it's Don Gartlett's Swamp Rats. That's what he had. And that's what I did. But,
okay.
Yeah, we were talking. I was into car magazines and model cars. Back in the day, a lot of the little books like Carcraft and Ron Custom, you could put inside your school book. And I was a pretty good reader, so I would just, read car magazines in school. It was awesome.
He is super studious. He just is in that.
He just can't get his head out of the book. He's so awesome.
He loves math.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cute, though. I love that you just kind of had that passion from a young age. So you had the Hornet, and that was kind of your first car?
Yeah, the Wasp. Yeah,
or the Wasp. Sorry, the Hornet was your dad's, yeah.
And it did 85 miles an hour as fast as it'd go, and I tried more than once. That's all it'd do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the first car I really worked on, I bought a 31 Model A that didn't run. The engine was all torn apart. And so I got to learn, how to put this thing together. And back in the old days, there was a school called Trade Tech, which became community college, I guess, only community college. But they had a program during the summer. You could go there every morning and work on cars. And it was really good. I was able to learn how to work on overhaul engines and stuff. That was fun. But that Model A, that was a gas. Get that going in the middle of the night, take off, driving around. That was so cool.
How fun.
Yeah.
Now, where did you grow up at? I know you're here, but...
Well, it's Granger, but it's West Valley now. It became a incorporated city, West Valley. Went to Granger High.
Which was like probably not very crowded and pretty farm-like back then.
Yep,
I would imagine so you could go run around in your car.
Yeah, there was one cop that patrolled in about a 58 Chevy pickup, and you could mostly beat him. So it was no big deal.
You got him. You didn't have to worry about him. Well, so what other cars did you have besides that? It seemed like you had a pretty good list of them here.
Yeah, I went on an LDS mission, and when I came home, I bought a 64 Ford Galaxy,
nice.
394 speed, yellow, chrome rims. That was a gas. I loved that car.
Oh, yeah.
But, I raced it a little bit on the street, but mostly I put clutches in it. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit too tall a rear gear, I think. It slipped the clutch. But anyway, that was a fun car.
Yeah. That would be a fun car. I love that. And then I see that you had a 27 Roadster too, a T Roadster.
Yeah, the Roadster is the car that ended up in the movie and all that.
Oh, so did that come later?
Yeah, it came quite a bit later. But before that, I put together some other cars. Getting married kind of slowed me down a little bit. But we moved to Bountiful, and I met this kid that was into cars that I was, and we were in church together with the youth and all that, and so I don't know. Sometimes kids want to do more than go camping, and these kids liked cars, so we did a lot of car stuff with them, model car contests, and we took them all to Reno one year. Jumped in my 442 and drove to Reno so they could see the car collection. I drove really fast all the way, which was stupid because you'd pull in for gas and get passed by all the people you'd passed. But they loved it. It was fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, but then you had a hot rod shop too.
Yeah,
so this kind of turned into a...
Yeah, he and I started a little shop out in Centerville, just in a garage out there. And we did little hot rod stuff, and I built up a 40 Ford sedan. I built a 48 Chev convertible, a 48 Chev two-door sedan I got from Wayne Atkinson, a good friend that was still around. And 49 Ford with a very interesting engine. It was a Pontiac overhead cam 6-cylinder engine, but it had a 4-barrel on it. It was pretty kind of a hopped-up Firebird kind of Tempest engine. It was fun. And a lot of Mustangs, 64, 67, 66 convertibles, had a lot of Mustangs. But then I started construction, and all of a sudden I don't have any money. So, some people make money, I didn't, but I still managed to do some things with cars. And
yeah.
I'd drag them around mostly before I'd work on them. But the 27 I had it probably 30 years and finally got it together.
Oh, fun.
In 05 just in time to do that.
For the world's fastest in it.
Yeah.
Well, so, but at your shop, your hot rod shop, so were you kind of doing that part-time at that time?
Yeah, just part-time, yeah. And that's when I met the Salt Flats racing crazy people.
Yeah. So it started with Dave Skidmore.
Yeah, Dave had this machine shop in Salt Lake, and he'd overhaul engines and do engine work and that. And so I'd go there to get my parts, and he'd do the machining on the heads and all that stuff. And I was in there one day getting something, and it was fun because there was always be guys hanging around it, Alan Strasberg and Larry Volk. I don't know if you know Larry.
I've heard of him.
You've heard of Larry. And Don Madsen was another guy that hung out there quite a bit. But I was there one day, and Dave walks out, and there's a bunch of these guys sitting around on his couch. I'm like, he says, "You got $25?" I go, "Yeah, I guess." Why? He goes, "Give me the money." So I gave him the money. He gave me a membership card to the USFRA. I was like, okay. Salt Flats. Oh, I like Salt Flats. That's fun. That's okay. I remember this. I think it was 76, if I'm not mistaken. And about a year later, I remember Widowmaker Hill Climb was down the point of the mountain, and I think it was the only year they'd ever done it on a Saturday. And we went up there and measured. That was our job. to measure how far the bikes went up the hill, and they paid us a little bit, and we used that, I think, to buy some timing equipment and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of a fun
So
thing.
you got in on ground level at the USFRA.
Yeah.
You fell into it sounds like.
Yeah, I was drug into it, yeah.
So had you gone out to the salt flats prior to that?
Yeah.
Oh, so you'd been out there plenty of times.
Especially after I met Larry and Dave and those guys, because they were running out there.
Yeah.
And
so you kind of knew before you.
I met him at that shop that time. Yeah, this was probably 76 when I met him.
Okay, so but prior to that, had you gone out to the salt?
Yeah, I knew about it, and we'd been out a few times.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if you had been out to the races at any time prior to that, or if you.
Yes, I had, but back in those days, it was without the media we have now. You don't always know what's going on, and when the meets are, and all that.
Yeah.
But I was after that initial introduction to the club and all that. I didn't do an awful lot with it for another 5 or 6 years or so, until I went to a meet. I was out at Speed Week, and Dave was there with the dart, and he got talking about, and I said, I'm in construction, and blah, blah. He goes, well, I need some work done. How about you come and do this job? And I'll give you this car, and we'll run it together and all that. And I fell for it. But it was fun. We had a great time. But once we blew that dart up, 64 dart with a GMC 6-cylinder in it, we didn't have the money to do anything.
Yeah.
So I saw a need, mostly because your dad drugged me over and said, hey, go down to the 6 mile, sit in the chair and watch the cars go by. Well, ain't no cars going by at the 6 mile. They stopped there.
Got hoodooed again.
Yeah, I got hoodooed again. Well, I took a book, so I was okay.
Yeah, you got a lot of reading done.
But back in those days, I did whatever they needed done,
Yeah.
Short course starter and putting out cones. We call them cone heads. That's what we call cone heads.
Yeah, I've done that too before.
Laying wire nuts, right?
I've never done that, but yeah. Oh, those cones, they go forever, and you just start to kind of lose track of where lines go.
Yeah.
So what were some of, as a course steward in the beginning years that you were doing it, what were some of your cars that you really liked to watch come down?
We've talked about this before, but there is nothing like Teague's car.
Oh, yeah.
The sound that car made when it was going by, it was like unreal. It wasn't like anything else. It was this solid, you could just almost see the pistons going up and down. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And he's such an awesome guy. Just a rock star. He's awesome. That one of the most interesting years, I can't give you the year, I don't recall, but Teague was at our meet, and so was Nolan White. And they were trying both to break 400, and they were pushing. It was amazing what they were doing, and they just nosing at each other and everything. I think Nolan lost a tire. I think I've got a piece of his car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from that tire blowing and knocking the body. But that was fun. That was fun. One night, we used to turn them around. Right now, we go the same direction, but we turn them around in those days. And I remember Nolan coming back, and he was hot. I was down about the 3, and he wasn't slowing down. He should have been by then. And I radioed down, but people were talking on the radio. And finally, there was a break, and I said, he's coming in hot, get out of the way. And he came shooting past the starting line. Oh, dear. Made a big, long turn, like Terry Nish has done.
Yeah.
But Terry knows how, right? Well, Nolan managed to, but he didn't crash. But, boy, he came in hot. He's probably doing 200 when he came through the starting line. So that was an exciting night. And it was night. It was just getting dark. As that sun, that kind of feeling. Oh, it was so awesome.
An energy to it.
Yep.
That's awesome. And so, those are 2 amazing cars that ran. That was probably like do you think early 90s or?
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe late 80s?
Yeah, early 90s. Yeah, the other car that I was a timer, I think you've told you for about 20 years, I was in the timing van, timing the long course. And I was able to time Tom Birkeland when he went 4:17, I think. You can see that and listen to it on YouTube if you look it up. And at the very end, you'll hear somebody say something inappropriate. And I'm not sure who it was, but somebody very close to the timing equipment said something inappropriate. But it was, oh my, look how, Because I was blown away. 400 plus. Oh man, that was something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool car too. I mean, that's
amazing.
Did you have any other ones that were like maybe not as fast, or maybe that kind of really caught your eye?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not shining you because, but I just love to watch Larry's car.
Yeah.
It was so straight.
Yeah.
Hardly ever spun. I don't know if it ever spun.
It has spun before but up until a few years ago.
And I remember I'd go over to the pits and he'd be pulling something apart and I'd, kind of not help him, but try to help. And
yeah.
He was so friendly and let's, whatever. And he was great.
Yeah.
He and that whole crew, the niches and they're just everybody, Berkdahls, these people that you kind of got to know a little bit.
Yeah. They, I agree. I'm definitely prejudiced, but I love our Roadster. I think it has a really good.
It does.
It's just a good classic look. It
sits just right.
Yeah.
And it's fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's put a lot of people in the 2 Club.
Yep. Yep. It's a fun car. So after you kind of are working the 6 mile as a course steward, you kind of work your way up the ranks, it sounds like, in the USFRA.
Yeah, I guess that's what you'd say. I've never held a position. I think I was sergeant at arms for about 2 months a little while ago, but that's about it. And I've never felt the need.
Yeah.
You
just kind of go where needed.
I see too much. No, I don't want to be anything.
You don't want to be an official.
No.
But official position.
Yeah, you don't want to. I don't want to be the president or the vice president or those jobs. They're too hard.
Yeah.
I go out and work the meet. I go out in between and kind of service equipment and stuff. That's, and it's been good for the family. They've always liked to go out. My kids, when they were little, they'd go out and help work the gate, or my wife's been out to help sell and sell. And in fact, I put her in the 130 timing van this last meet we had, and she did okay. She's going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, what were some of what do you think is your favorite thing to do out there? Because I know you do a lot with the timing. You do a lot with.
I like running the course.
That's kind of what you do now.
Yeah. There was a couple of years there when Jim needed some help. Jim Berkdahl was the president, and he needed some help. And so I actually ran the whole race for a couple of years. Which is kind of an interesting to say. You ran the race. You just sort of were the guy that problems came to, because everybody does their job, really.
Right.
And I enjoyed doing that, but I think running the 130 short course, we call it the 130, but it's really a short course.
Yeah.
You can run short course LSR cars over there too.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
On the 130?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've got it set up to the 2 1/4.
Is it separate from the other short course, or is it?
That's the only short course. That is the short course.
Okay.
It should really be titled short course, not 130. Because we do 130, 150, and we can time cars for records.
Yeah. That's great. And so you were talking kind of more about like the family of volunteers that you kind of have built, which I think I like this aspect of, kind of your volunteer side. I mean, you've raced and you've done racing, but you're more on that volunteer end. Yeah,
I would have to say that's more what I do. Trying to fill in, try to help where I can. And I've had some great responsibilities. I mean, it's the timer, that's a thing,
Oh, yeah.
You can sit in that van and I can see the course in my mind. You can only see a couple of miles each way, 1.5 miles each way at the 3, but you can see the cars. Monty, the starter, is excellent. And back in the day when I was timing, Dennis Sullivan was down course. And between the 3 of us, we were pumping cars down there, one after another, because you trusted each other. Dennis said, it's clear. Monty, you're clear. Here's the car. Let's go. We just really, which the racers like, let's get them down the course. And that's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys do a good job. I think it's still a good job at.
Oh, very good.
Consistently sending people down.
Yeah. Julie's real good. Monty's still a starter, of course. But yeah, I think that's probably the thing I like the best. Had the most interesting things happen. But I like being out of the van. I like being on the ground, talking to the racers. That's the short course is fun to manage.
So when you manage the short course, are you like, are you the starter or what are you doing?
Very rarely.
Okay.
My son-in-law Jeff Ward, he loves to do the starting. He's really good. He does it. I have a brother that comes out from Oklahoma because he and his wife love the salt. They love coming out, and he wrangles cars, and he's part-time starter also. We've had, you get the family out there and do things. Like I was saying, my wife's helped in sales, and my daughter April used to help Hugh at the gate.
Yeah.
I remember Christy helping to sew the mile markers to the framework and stuff. So they're all integrated in the salt.
Yeah. And what was that? And your son, you were saying that he just, it really is a family thing, and he was raised out there like a lot of us, but
he's always liked cars too, liked to drive. And while I'm working the race, he's driving my truck around visiting the pits. And at the time he was, I don't know, probably 12, 13, and not particularly tall. You could already see him over the dashboard. But he'd pull up. I had guys tell me, said, this little kid pulled up in this truck and looked like your truck. And he gets out and he walks up and says, how you guys doing? What's going on? How you you getting good times and blah, blah, blah. And then he'd get in the truck and drive away.
That's so cute. They're probably like, what is going on now, dude?
I remember one time he couldn't find me. He didn't know where I was. And he pulled up somewhere. He says, hey, have you seen my dad? What does he look like? Oh, he's kind of big. He wears a white shirt and he's got a beard and a racer hat. And they're like, yeah, pick one, They're all around you.
Yeah, you guys all have a look going, that's for sure.
They have a look, you do. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Now, does he help with anything? No, he's a theater guy. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's great.
He owns the Ziegfeld Theater in Ogden. That's cool. His job.
Yeah.
But he comes out. Yeah. He's got two little girls, and they come out, and they like to come out for the day.
Yeah. And the grandkids still come out. Yeah, you have a whole crew.
It's in your blood, Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had 2 or 3 of my grandkids at the meet in July we had, and they work, they do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They like to come out.
Yeah. So so managing the short course, have you ever had any any crazy stories on anything?
Do you want to talk about barstool racing?
Yeah, let's hear about some of the more fascinating things that have come through.
Yeah, the proponent of that is not with us anymore. I miss him, but
who was that? Was it
Terry?
It was
Nash.
Terry.
Yeah,
that he did start that.
They came up with this idea of putting a starter motor and a battery on a bar stool and run it down the course. But we finally figured out that you could take a nap by the time they got to the timing light. So we started to just take them down and just run them a short distance because they get maximum velocity in just 100 feet or 150.
Yeah.
And so we did a lot of that. And I wasn't a fan.
No.
Well, it slowed things down. I wanted to get those cars down the course, but it was fun. For some of the guys build them and had some fun, and we haven't done that for quite a while. But back in those days on the 130, we'd run anything anybody wanted to bring. Go-karts, you name it.
That's what's kind of great about the USFRA meet is that it is that opportunity to run something do stuff like that. It's just a little bit more.
But the 130... That's a thing.
That's a great. I love this.
It's a gateway to really racing, and if you just like to do that, that's fine. We got people that come every year and try and get in. There's a 52 Chevy, little yellow coupe with a 6-cylinder in it. He knocks on the door on 130 every year. Can't quite do it. I swear he uses up his motor and comes back again. He just smiling. They just love it.
Yeah. Well, tell it. What do you have to do for the 130? What is the requirements?
It needs to be street legal, licensed, insured. The driver has to be legal age. Has to have a good driver's license. And if it's a rear wheel drive, you need a drive shaft loop, metal valve stems, batteries tied down with metal, not a rubber band or whatever. But basically, just basic safety stuff.
Yeah.
And you can just go from a 0 to the 130 trap. At a mile out, we have a 130-foot trap that times your terminal speed. Mm-hmm. If you can get over 130 but not go over 139.999999, you do it twice, you get a hat.
Yeah. And do you need you obviously need a helmet.
You need a helmet. Yeah. Long sleeve shirt, long pants.
That's it.
That's it.
Do you do the 150 over there too?
We do.
And so what?
150 is a little more. You got to have a roll bar, especially if it's an open car. If there's an open car on the 130, you got to have a roll bar as well. But in the 150, you got to have a roll bar, and you need to have a helmet and a fire suit.
Okay. And that's it. That's the only difference for people that are interested in that. That
doesn't have to be a straight legal car necessarily.
Okay.
We have some people that Shirley Lloyd, for example, he built a Javelin with a big block Chevy in it, and then he used to run in the 150.
Yeah.
But he got his 150 hat, so he's had a 130 hat as well, but now he's got his 150 hat. Now he's running LSR.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
So many people that I hear that's the way that they kind of get into it. I think that's a great way to just start out.
Last July, we had kind of a small meet, and there was an opportunity that had a lot of time, so I took my Charger out and got myself in the 130 club.
Oh, nice.
The car's built, put other people in already, but I need to do it. I want that $200 hat, right? So, but there was a kid there with the Challenger that was having a hard time keeping it under 140. It was running hard, and he is pumped.
Yeah.
He asked, "What do we got? What do I got to do? How do I do this?" And we told him everything. He's like, "That's no problem." He's like
ready to go into the next level.
Fire suit, I'll get it.
Yeah.
Roll bar, I'll get it. He was psyched.
Oh yeah.
And it happens all the time.
Yeah. And
George Poteet, Poteet's a perfect example.
Yeah, there you go. And look at that, yeah.
He came out, he worked the race. He actually helped Don Cash hand out timing slips for years and kind of got the bug. And I think he actually ran Don Cash's truck, probably 130. That's where he came. That's where he got the bug, was from that whole thing. Yeah.
Because that's amazing, because that's somebody who started, just at the bottom, and like he is top dog now. And one of the,
fastest wheel.
That's, I don't think I really knew that. I don't think I really knew that he, that's where he started, and he started in 130. But I mean, I kind of, now that you say it, I remember it, but I didn't know that he helped with the races and stuff.
Yeah. Don Cash would have quite the caravan set up out there to hand out timing slips. And I think Don Cash is...
Oh, I've worked with him handing out timing slips.
Yeah, well, okay. Poteet might have been there and you just didn't know. Because he wasn't... Who knew him,
I was like 15, probably...
But he... I think he actually lent Don a motor that he put in his 56 Ford and got in the 130 club with it. But he liked to collect wheels, interesting wheels. And I had a set of interesting wheels on one of my trucks, and he thought about it, but he didn't buy them.
Yeah.
If I'd have known how rich he was, it would have been. I would have sold him a little bit harder. But he was just a nice guy.
He is so nice.
He was one of the buddies of Don Cash's, and so
so nice. Yeah, he's great. That's really cool, and and I think people need to know that you don't have to be somebody who's been doing this for years. You don't have to be somebody with a lot of means. You can just start. Just start if you want to start. I think that's the big takeaway.
I think that 130 is, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love it. I think it's a great, I love it. I tell everybody about it. I'm like, go take have you ever had it? It seems like everybody's like, oh yeah, my car can do this. And you're like, oh yeah. Wait till you bring it on the side. Like, can't do that.
Corvettes especially. It's so fun to watch this guy pull up in a Corvette. Oh, well, I'll take care of this. Nope. Those wide tires and it's just
doesn't work.
You got to drive.
Yeah.
The salt's not like asphalt. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So
you said you had, what did you say that you got in the 130 with?
I've got an 07 Charger.
Okay.
2007.
Oh, it's an 07. Okay.
Yeah, it's just an old Charger, but it's old now, isn't it? It doesn't seem old, but it's old. But I tweaked it a little bit, put a tuner on it and a few things.
That's that green one that you're showing me.
No, that green one's a 70.
That's old, right? Yeah. Okay.
I had a 70 Charger back in the day, and it didn't quite make the 130. Just wouldn't quite do it.
Yeah.
But this 07, once you put a tuner on them, they go. Yeah. They're fun to drive. They're just rock solid.
Yeah.
That 70. at about 120, it starts to float. The front end comes up. Anybody that's had those old Chargers will tell you that that's an exciting ride.
Yeah. Fun.
It is. It's fun. I think I did an article for the newsletter about running the 130 Club with that Charger.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, and then besides managing the short course, which does sound like a lot of fun, your car kind of was, not any of the cars we talked about. Well, which car? The Roadster. We did talk about it. The 27.
Yeah, my
was
27.
It 27. And that was in the world's fastest Indy, and it kind of it was there quite a bit. It got quite a bit of screen time, right?
Well, it got a lot of film.
Yeah.
It didn't make it onto the screen too much.
Oh, it didn't.
But it did get a lot of film.
Okay.
And Roger Donaldson, the director, producer, writer,
mm-hmm.
he liked the car, and it was fun to have it out there. And I remember talking to this Anthony Hopkins. You've talked to him, and he wants you to call him Tony. He's just such a friendly, outgoing guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to him quite a little bit out there, and he asked me, he says, "What is this?" Looking at my car, he said, "What is this?"
What am I looking at?
Well, let me see if I can start. It's a fiberglass replica of a 1927 Ford Model T. He goes, "Okay." It's a home-built chassis. It's got 34 Ford front end and a 64 Ford rear end and a 1964 Buick engine.
It's a real hot rod.
And he goes, "Okay." Most people that you talk about that car and tell them it's a Buick, they go, "Buick? What?"
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't know. He's just like, "Well, this is something."
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, "I got to tell you, having you here doing this movie, I know it's not a big blockbuster or whatever, but it means a lot to us. The salt is really important to us."
Yeah.
And he says, "I can tell." And he said, "This is so much better than some of that other garbage," or he might have used the rubbish,
Rubbish.
Rubbish that's coming out right now out of Hollywood. He was sincere. Of course, he was a good friend of Roger Donaldson's, which is why he did the movie.
And that's who the director is.
Yeah. He wrote and directed it.
And it really, you're saying it meant so much, and we've talked about this, but it really did change. It changed racing out there quite I wouldn't say a lot, but it changed. Well, it did. It changed the interest out there. All of a sudden, the whole thing just exploded. It was like, whoa, which is awesome.
Now people know.
Yeah.
It was a very, in my opinion, a very accurate depiction.
Oh, yeah.
Of Salt Flats racing.
I agree.
There was a couple of things about it that's just hilarious. When I met with Roger Donaldson, and he wanted me to kind of watch they call it scrutineering. We call it inspection.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I want you to watch that and tell me if they're doing anything wrong, like that wouldn't be authentic."
Yeah.
Oh, they were horrible. These weren't car guys. They were, extras at $80 a day, right? So they pay you more for your cars, by the way.
Yeah.
My car's got $150 a day. I get $80 a day. But they were looking at dumb things. And so I had to explain a little bit to them what to really look at, the seat belts and look at this and that. And so that was kind of fun to get involved like that a little bit. But he said, well, and I think he talked to Ron about this too. He says, "Guys, what do you think? I'm thinking 10 miles. We'll announce times for 10 miles. And I'm like, "No." And trying to explain it to him. And he finally says, "Well, how about 8? I said, "It's your movie. You do whatever you want."
But if you want to know how it works, that's not the way it works.
I think he ended up with like 6 miles or something like that.
Yeah, Ron was talking about that. And he's like, "And at the first mile." But it kept going.
Yeah. But it added to the, But the fun thing about that is I'm standing at this movie starting line with guys that are in the 2 Club. These are legendary, truly legendary racers, and we're just chatting away. The president of the SCTA right now was there. Billy Lattin.
He was in it.
Yeah, we were chatting away, and the redhead was there. That old redhead. That car that's been around.
The car.
Yeah. And
I thought you were talking about a racer for a minute.
No,
and I was like, I know the car.
Unfortunately, not too many. Julie Burton, pretty close to it. But they had they had the Ford Pontiac Challenger out there. That was there. That car was actually on the salt with us.
Yeah.
And the Flying Caduceus, that jet car was there. These are cars that really would have been around in 62, and they found them and they had them on the salt. It was just amazing.
Yeah, they did a great job. That's really quite
a lot of that, as you know, talking with Ron, a lot of that was Ron. He has pictures. I don't know where he keeps all his stuff, but he's got pictures and paraphernalia and memorabilia and souvenirs, and that's where a lot of this stuff. I kept all the stickers on my car. It still has all the numbers and the helmet, all the different speed shop stuff. I left it all on there.
Yeah, and he said even the roll bar you left on for quite a while.
Yeah, I took the roll bar off. It was just made out of pipe, but
you liked it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah, that is a lot of fun. And were you in it a lot? Were you? Yeah,
you see me. If you know how to look for me, you'll see me.
Yeah.
I was an official.
Okay.
I had a blue shirt and a pith helmet. I think I had one of the cheap pith helmets, according to Ron. But anyway, a pith helmet's a pith helmet. And white pants. But I'm the only one of those guys that has a beard.
Okay.
So
that's how we can find you.
Yeah, that's how you can find me. They show me starting the redhead. I wave my hand. I don't get all excited, but I wave my hand. And then there's a scene where the redhead's open and Tony's talking. I'm talking with Tony about the car and the driver of the car's there and they need Tony. And they say, hey, come over. So I look at him and I wave him away. So I do this and I do this. And that's what I do in the movie. Well, I loved it. It was so much fun to meet people and
yeah,
it was great.
It would be. I bet it was a blast. I mean, when you were out there and it was happening, you always saw it from like a distance. Them doing their thing out there.
World Finals was going on at the same time, which was awesome.
Yeah,
because you could hear them running.
Yeah, very cool.
It was very cool.
And then another thing that you kind of were involved in that was kind of a big deal was you went out with the North American Eagle when they were out at oh my gosh, what's it called in Oregon?
Yeah.
Like, what is anyways, wherever
It'll come to us.
Yeah. But when they were racing, when Jesse died, but you were, what were you out there for? What was the whole?
We were there not representing the club. Yeah. We were there as individuals that had experience in land speed racing to observe their timing.
Okay.
Some members of our club had gone out independently to actually time the car with timing lights and everything in years past. But in this particular situation, they had decided to time it using GPS. And so we were just there to observe and look at the data. And
they just kind of wanted you there as like kind of expert kind of opinion.
Yeah. They wanted some kind of authority. They had abandoned the whole concept of breaking any land speed records, so to speak. They just wanted to get in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Okay, so they weren't like interested in like they didn't have the FIA there or anything like that. They weren't interested in any of that. Just the world speed, the Guinness Book.
Yeah, I think they got to the point where they realized it just wasn't going to do that. But Jessie Coombs was the driver of that car at the time, and it was fun to get to know her, meet her, and talk with her. She's a fireball. That kid. She's very focused but still fun.
Yeah, and, she was fun.
She knows stuff. She's a mechanic. And she knows how to build things. And she just was going to drive that car. Yeah, and that's what she did.
Yeah, she gave you a 2-coat blanket one time, and she seemed really fun and really nice, and to talk to her was really cool.
She's very approachable. Very, it was sad to see her pass away, but I think if you asked her, we say this a lot about racers, but they don't want to die in a wheelchair and sitting in a rest home or something. Yeah, they want to die like they live, and it was way too soon for her.
For sure,
but she was no stranger to danger, if let me use that alliteration. She really understood the risks involved in this sport that she was in. But yeah, it was a sad day. It really hurt everybody that was involved with that thing when she passed away. But like I say, it was a delight to get to meet her and see her.
Yeah. Did that happen just like had she done any test runs before?
Yeah. Oh,
and so she had been racing kind of back and forth.
She had driven it several times.
But that day was
that week she had driven it several times as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was quite a process to get that thing put together to do a return run or to run again. It took several hours. They had to fuel it up. They checked everything. They really tried to do, a good job. Most of the people out there had been involved in building the car and maintaining it. It was their life project, a lot of those guys. And they were delighted to have her drive it. And I think they were trying to get the fastest woman driver or whatever, in
the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, in the Guinness Book of World Records. And there's all kinds of controversy about the number of wheels and all that sort of thing. And it had 4 wheels.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were in an unusual arrangement, but he had 4 wheels.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, just like the old saying goes, and we've said on here plenty of times, nobody cares until you go fast. So that's probably where the controversy came in when she started really going fast. But yeah, that would be, a horrible day to be at, but like what a historic day too, that you were there to watch at least her make some runs. And she was hauling from what I understand when it crashed. So
yeah, she was full throttle.
Yeah.
There's a really good documentary that was being filmed while we were there. Mm-hmm. And if you look real close, you can see us walk up to the camera, and I'm sure they cut that out pretty quick. That we are there. So there's proof. That's photographic evidence that we were actually there.
Yeah, that's a good documentary too.
It is really very good.
Really well done. Well, and then what do you kind of do out there? You are, besides managing the short course, it sounds like you have this, you were telling me about it, this 88 Oldsmobile that you race. Or that you don't race it, but I'm sure you have. But.
Yeah, I've driven it, but it's kind of a historic car. It was, it came off the assembly lines at Oldsmobile in 1988, and Oldsmobile wanted to get some publicity for their new Quad 4 engine, it was called. It had double overhead cams, and it was a good little motor, really. They put it in everything, Pontiacs, Oldsmobiles, everything, and they wanted to get some publicity. So they got hold of Jim Fielding, who is an absolute magician with engines and turbocharging and everything. And I understand, I think there were 2 turbochargers on it. They went 230 with a 4-cylinder engine in it. And, got in all the media they wanted, publicity and all that. And then Oldsmobile said, we don't care about it, and Jim had it, and he didn't care that much about it. It sat for quite a while. And then the San Diego Police Department somehow ended up with that car, and it didn't have that original drivetrain in it. And one of the cops there, he was also involved in scouting, I think, and he and the guys put a stock drivetrain in the front end of it, and they put nitrous on it, and they used it to race a cop down in San Diego. You could race a cop. Oh. They made it look like a cop car.
So you could race that to race the cop?
No.
Oh, that what they were?
You could race the cop again with your car. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And there was some video. I watched it run, and it's kind of fun. The lights are on. It's going down the course. But they built a Crown Vic that was faster, so we don't need it anymore, right? And we had a visitor come up, and he ended up moving up here and actually build a car. But he mentioned it one night in one of our club meetings. And he started talking about it, and I rose my hand, and I held it up for like 20 minutes while they continued to talk about this thing. I was like, I'm in. I want the car.
You can stop talking about it now. I'm sold.
So just before my mission, Dennis Sullivan and I went down there with a trailer, like it was Larry's trailer, and picked the car up and brought it home and mothballed it for a couple of years while I went on a mission. But I got back and I ran it a little bit with the lights and stuff, and I thought, that's just, so I tore all that stuff off, and my intention is to paint it red like it was, so at least it looks like it did. And but it's been fun because anybody can drive it. You just get in it. It's full cage. It's lowered. It's got, all the little switches and everything. And it even has a PA if you want to tell people hello. And from the cop thing, you know. But yeah, we've had several people get in and drive it. A lot of my grandkids have driven it. It's a great car to drive. It's easy. It's automatic. You get experience driving a real race car. And it's a real race car.
How fast does it go?
It's down about 125, I think.
Hey, that's still, I mean, you still feel like that's still fast hauling at 125.
Was it Megan that drove it?
Megan drove it.
She drove it 110 in second gear. She didn't get it into high gear. She pulled it back into
by accident.
Into second, but they were 110 in second gear, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. That's really good. So who has driven it that has, besides your kids, well, like Megan, she's gone on to drive the Roadster.
I think she's probably the only one I can think of that has gone on to drive something else. But like I say, my grandkids, they've driven.
Had a good time.
Son-in-law, yeah. It's,
those are fun. Those little lapper cars that you can just keep. That's fun. I mean, it's fun to go just really fast and have a really fast car, but it's also fun to have those little lapper cars that where you can keep going.
Yeah, it's real dependable. It's safe. It's a street legal car. It has a license plate on it, and so it can run 130.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. Well, this has been awesome. I love hearing the side of the volunteer side and kind of the other side of racing. There's lots of little aspects of it. There's spectators and there's volunteers and there's racers, and some of them all, at one point were one thing or another in their career in land speed racing. So I like to hear the flip side of racing and hear that volunteer side.
It's a lot of fun to go out there, and the people that run the racers are so appreciative.
Yeah,
they do. We have such great relationships with a lot of these guys, and they'll send you pictures, and they'll send you a newspaper article or something. There's one group that came down from Washington State, and they ran I think it was a Firebird or Camaro. And they run 130, then they run 150, and then they went LSR. Yeah. This group of guys, and that's just what they wanted to do. And they put everybody in the 150 club, and we have that a lot. We'll have a family come with a car, and everybody gets in the 150 club or 130 club, and then we get the Volkswagens. We didn't talk about Volkswagens, but Burlisle brings, sometimes they'll bring Volkswagens out. Yeah.
Very cool Volkswagens,
too. I remember Jan Atkinson hit 100 miles an hour in that little yellow bug, and she embraced me. I thought we were going to have to get a room. She was so happy.
Thrilled, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those bugs are a lot of fun to see, and they're really cool. It's fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, that's great. Like I said, this has been awesome. It's been informative, and we've had a lot of different different window into land speed racing, which I enjoy. And I like that we talked about that 130 club that is a good gateway into land speed racing. It sounds like you've seen it a lot where people just move on. So,
and there's one other aspect to that. It's an interesting story. I think there's a woman in our neighborhood that. She saw me in the Charger one day. This was a few years ago. And she says, "Oh, Lloyd, I just love Chargers. When we go on trips, so I rent a Charger, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, my wife goes, "Well, he runs at the salt flats, and this car runs on the salt flats, and blah, blah, blah." Next thing I know, she's like, "Oh." And my wife says, "You could probably come out and drive the car and go if you wanted to ride one there." I'm like, okay. She came out. She bought a ticket. Got in the car. And she drove 129. And she came back, and I said, "You let off, didn't you?" Go, "Yeah." "Stay in it." "Okay." 131, 132. She got in. This little woman, I got to tell you, is an interesting person. She got shot in the back. She's crippled up, has to use a crutch. And I don't know if I've ever seen her smile. She tries, but she's in pain, you can tell. I didn't recognize her when she came back.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah, her smile filled the whole windshield. She was just delighted to have been able to do something like that.
So did she get in the 130 club?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
She did. She
good
put my
for
car.
her.
Yeah, she drove
good
my
for
car
you
in
too.
130. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting, fun thing to do. If you want to just come out and run 130.
Yeah. And if you want to check out more about it, go to saltflats.com. I think that they have all the information
there. They have the
there.
rules and everything's right there. Yeah. And a list of all those who are in the 130 Club, of which I am one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Check it out.
Well, another website you need to go to is savethesalt.org. And we just ask that you, if you can, donate or buy a T-shirt or help out in any way you can. And all that money goes to trying to accomplish the salt restoration plan, which has a goal of pumping 206 million tons of salt byproduct from the south side of the freeway to the north side where the racetrack is. And this really does. They've done it in the past, and it really does improve the conditions of the salt. And so just go buy a T-shirt or go donate. We really appreciate it. And I just want to thank you for listening to this Land Speed Legends episode. And please consider liking, sharing, and giving it a review. Also, don't forget to go and like my Facebook and Instagram pages under Land Speed Legends. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to Land Speed Legends. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, keep up with the show on Facebook and Instagram under Land Speed Legends. Until next time.